Game Jams! It's time for another Brackeys Game Jam, and I have attempted to make a game in just 7 days, while at the same time failing to learn how time works. So, the previous Brackeys Game Jam was held in February, and I kinda did a decent job then. Also, I made a video about that, so feel free to check it out and like it, please don't. Anyways, it's nearing the end of August and the end of my summer holidays now, and I have approximately 3 pieces of homework left which I'll do in less than 2 weeks. So, after the success of the previous jam, what better time to join the jam than now? At 6 PM local time, the theme was announced, and it was Let There Be Chaos. I had planned out a couple of ideas prior to the announcement, so I sort of had a basic idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a game about pineapple pizza because they taste good, and after a couple of hours of thinking, I settled on the player being a pepperoni slice of some sort, and the player has to defend the world against pineapples to prevent them from taking over the world and thus causing chaos, or something. I eventually swapped the roles of the player and the enemies though, but I'll talk about that later. Then I set up some basic stuff for the game, like a moving cube and some basic platforms and stuff. Then I spent a few more hours before going to bed trying to add jumping, and I also wrote about 10 scripts, and I totally did not copy them from my other side project. I should mention now that I didn't record too much footage during these next few days because I'm an idiot, but whatever. I yoinked a player character controller script from Brackeys. Then I also added a cinemachine component thing so the camera can be slightly better. After all this, progress was, well, good. Or at least that's what I thought at the time. Then I decided to start doing some art. And this time, I wanted to do every single sprite and background by myself. Unfortunately, I also decided not to practice my art skills prior to the jam for some reason. And as a result, I basically had no idea what I was doing. Woo! The actual second day, what's the progress? Well, obviously not great. Progress was slower than I had expected, and I struggled with different art styles and stuff. I basically spent the entire second and third days drawing the background. Still, I settled on this style, which was heavily inspired, and when I say inspired, I basically mean copied from a guy called Thomas Rush, who actually makes some pretty good tutorials as well, so you can check him out if you want. After the failure of the previous days, I decided to at least try to get a move on. I started to make a few platforms for the first level, and then I also tried to add stuff like players, enemies, and animations, although the latter didn't go so well, because what happened no matter what I tried to do to fix it was this. Still, could be worse. On the 5th to 6th days, progress was getting slightly better as I got all my sprites and stuff, but it still wasn't that great. I made the second level which had the player shoot out pineapple slices instead of using a melee weapon, but again, due to time constraints, there just wasn't enough time to polish everything and make everything work. I felt like I can't just have a game with only 2 levels, so I decided to at least try to get a final level in. Again, it doesn't really help when I didn't have any pixel art experience prior to this, and even worse, when I only had a minimal amount of animation and 2D game making experience. Well, no turning back now. The final day of the game jam. Oh, what a journey. I mainly focused on finishing up the final boss level, which included a giant pizza, although again buggy. Finally, I ignored all the broken animations and I just added a simple main menu. It wasn't great again, and it had no settings menu, but with only around 1 hour left on the clock at this point, it was enough. I quickly set up an itch.io page, I added some info about the game, And finally, I submitted the game just a few minutes before the jam ended. So in the end, I made a pineapple pizza shooting platformer thing. So, what problems and bugs actually appeared in the game? Well, firstly, the animations. Oh god. I actually tried to make some animations this time, but they just didn't seem to work for some reason. And well, I didn't know enough to fix it. Second, I literally noticed this after I submitted the game, but the ground in the second level was completely missing. I don't know why or I don't know how exactly, but it was just missing. It technically added an element of challenge and it made the game fit the theme more, but still, well, I'm glad I didn't put any lava pools in the second level. Apart from those, there were many other problems that people pointed out as well. For example, the shooting parts are buggy, the bounce pads can literally bounce you into space, the player movement was, well, bad, and some other minor things like the camera making life harder, and the boss being way too annoying and difficult. I'd like to say now that I've never talked about this topic so in-depth before, so if you want, just skip this part. Although, probably nobody's going to watch this anyway, so... So, you know game devlogs? Yeah, like this video, and the previous one, and ones from actual talented people. Everyone makes devlogs that only show the positive side. Game development is no easy task at all, especially if you're a person with minimal or no experience. How many times have you thought, oh, look at that EA game or something? I bet I can definitely make something better than that. Granted, EA games suck, obviously. Everyone wants to improve them. But how many people have actually went out to try to make one though? And if you did try to make one, how many people actually made a top seller game? Yeah, games like Undertale or Deltarune because it's September, and Minecraft exist. Still, what are the chances of that happening though? Apart from that, you also have to deal with so many things. Physical and mental problems, stress from school sucks, burnout because somehow your brain can get bored of doing something that you like. Also, scope creep. It's a really serious problem. And seriously, it sucks. Much more than that. This game jam was all of that combined together for me. By the way, I'm not here to say that I'm the best person to handle this sort of stuff, or I'm not here to say that I know what I'm talking about, but this is just my experience so far. If this is what I felt after only 1 year of actual game dev experience, then I'm sure that actual skilled and talented people have experienced much more. So, what have we learned from this? Stress, health problems, more stress, animations not working for some reason. Seriously though, why? Extreme levels of stroke. None of that is important because you know the thing that's actually important? The answer? Because game jams have terrible timing, that's why.